ربنا لك الحمد حتى ترضى ولك الحمد إذا رضيت ولك الحمد بعد الرضا. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيد الأولين والآخرين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الملك الحق المبين، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صفيه من خلقه وخليله أمين على وحده. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. Dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, all praise and glory and thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We owe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala everything we have. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِّعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. You need to always remind yourself and find ways to remind yourself that anything that is happening, anything good that you have is a gift from Allah. And anything good that happens to you in the process is also a favor from Allah. ما أصابك من حسنة فمن الله. So وما بكم من نعمة فمن الله. Whatever you already have. ما أصابك من حسنة, whatever good happens to you is also from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So make sure that you do your best to express your gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our deen is centered on the relationship with Allah, and the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is centered on gratefulness and gratitude. The feeling that Allah has given you so much that you want to express your appreciation and gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you do it by worshiping, you do it in words, but also you do it by sharing what Allah has given you and using what Allah has given you fi sabilillah. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, unfortunately we continue to watch the massacre and genocide in Gaza unfolding in front of us. 1.5 billion Muslims or more are watching helplessly while the whole population is being exterminated. Something that probably 2 months ago we never thought that this can happen in this world at this time and age. People are pushed from the north, and then pushed from the center, and then pushed from the south. Everything is bombarded. Muslim populations watching helplessly. Yes, there is a lot of sympathy, a lot of pain, a lot of anger, but watching helplessly at the end. And Muslim leaders are making statements. They become political analysts. So you have a president or king or whatever with all the power they have, and they come and they say, no, we believe this should stop here. That's a political analyst or journalist saying, not someone who is in charge or who makes a decision. And nobody in this world seemed to be able to stop this madness. It's very unfortunate that Palestinians, women and children and families and elderly and everybody, innocent people are paying with their lives for political agendas. Somebody wants to save their political career. Somebody is worried about the next election. So what's the price? Palestinians. Also shows you how dirty and corrupt politics can be. And also they are caught in the crossfire of a lot of miscalculations. There was a lot of miscalculations in this, unfortunately, in this tragedy, and a lot of the disappointment. And that's not the first time it happened to us. Our history is full of miscalculations and disappointments. And those civilians are caught in the crossfire. As I mentioned before, we want to be optimistic, but the reality says that this is a deadlock. The two parties are in a situation where they can no longer coexist. So this may continue and may even become worse. We can only pray. It's very unfortunate that we can only pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect those innocent people and to save lives and to help the cause of peace and justice to prevail on earth. We don't want to see anybody being killed and any innocent lives being lost. What lessons we can get from here? What lessons? In addition, keep saying, pray for people, and then if you can do anything, whether you're called to participate in demonstration or reach out to a representative. But it's very unfortunate that we need to do that, even though it's not making big difference. What lessons we can learn from this? Number one is the state of weakness of Muslims in the world. It cannot be more obvious. More than 1.5 billion watching helplessly. They can do nothing. So that's how bad the situation is. That's the level of weakness. And subhanAllah, you can see that you may wonder why this is happening. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنْ يَنْصُرْكُمُ اللَّهُ فَلَا غَالِبَ لَكُمْ وَإِنْ يَخْذُلْكُمْ فَمَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَنْصُرْكُمْ بَعْدَهُ. If Allah is not, if you're not in tansurullah yansurkum, if you don't qualify for the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you are on your own. Until now, we are yet to learn a lesson that Muslims were taught very early on. They had very small defeat in the Battle of Uhud. Small defeat. Actually, it was a victory in the beginning, and then it was a defeat. And then Quran was revealed, pages to teach them lessons to learn from it, because they were wondering why this is happening to us. And the biggest lesson that we are yet to learn, قُلْ هُوَ مِنْ عِنْدِ أَنفُسِكُمْ. You only have yourself to blame. So don't look around, don't complain, don't blame anybody. Anything that goes wrong in your life, individual, community, whatever, look inside, look inward. The biggest lesson, قُلْ هُوَ مِنْ عِنْدِ أَنفُسِكُمْ. It is about time to stop begging. It is about time to stop complaining. Because time and again, we have done this as Muslims. We don't hold anybody accountable. We don't criticize. It's not the time. Silence everybody, and then we pay the heavy price. So we really, once this war is over, at least people have to sit down and try to discuss and debate and evaluate what went wrong, and could this be avoided? Was it the right thing to do, etc. It is not wrong to ask those questions. Actually, because we never ask those questions, these things that keep happening to us. 67 war was like this. Iraq and was destroyed because of miscalculations. So really, with all the emotions that we have, we need to be able, especially after the war is over, to sit down and evaluate and draw lessons, because we cannot keep doing the same thing or repeating mistakes and expect different results. The next lesson that we learn from here is to what extent we are drowning in the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you compare the suffering and the pain and the conditions of the people in Gaza, you will see that how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how many favors Allah has given you. And so we are really drowning in the mercy and favors from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the point that we should really realize how grateful and thankful we should be. How grateful and thankful we should be for these conditions that we take for granted when we see the suffering of the people who are sleeping in the street and in the rain and the bombardment and etc. To the point that we probably need to start feeling ashamed of ourselves and embarrassed that we are not really doing enough to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to express our gratitude and our appreciation for all His bounty. So it is about time to reflect. Do we realize how blessed we are and how grateful we should be? Or are we going to continue to be spoiled and taking things for granted? Don't underestimate anything. Anything that you have is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Life itself, how much you value life, it's a gift from Allah. How much you value your religion, that you are Muslim, it's a gift from Allah. Allah is al-Hadi. Allah is the one who guided you. Allah is the one who created you. How much you value everything that you have. وَالَّذِي أَنشَأَكُمْ وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ. Anything, all your senses, your limbs, your health, your job, your income, whatever. All of these, you need always to find a way to remind yourself how much Allah has given you, so that you know how much you should do to express your gratefulness and gratitude and thankfulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The third lesson that we probably also can learn is that really in this life we only need very little things. I mean, people keep buying stuff they don't need. When you see those people when they're driven from their homes and taking only few things, that's exactly what you need. So there are really, in this life, there are few things that we really need. The rest we're buying it because we're being fooled by marketing to buy things that we don't need. So a lot of us keep accumulating things that you never use or you never need. You bought them because you find them on sale or they're cheap or whatever, you keep buying them. So in this life, make sure that كن في الدنيا كأنك غريب أو عابر سبيل. As if you are traveling, you are in transition. You know, when you fly, you take a connection. That should be our life. It's like a connection. We're just spending some time and then we're leaving to our ultimate destination. So people keep buying clothes, furniture, whatever. Even though, as I said, most of us end up buying a lot more than what we really need. It was narrated that Rasul says in this context, من أصبح منكم آمنا في سربه معافى في جسده عنده قوت يومه فكأنما حيزت له الدنيا بحذافيرها. Whosoever begins the day feeling family security, you wake up, you find yourself healthy and secure, you and your family and everybody is okay, which you know, there are a lot of people, they don't have that luxury. Whosoever begins the day feeling family security and good health, آمنا في سربه معافى في جسده, and possessing provisions for his day, and you have enough food for that day, is as if he possesses the whole world. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, من أصبح منكم آمنا في سربه معافى في جسده عنده قوت يومه فكأنما حيزت له الدنيا بحذافيرها. Because that's all what you need. That's all what you need in this life. And again, that's another lesson that we can draw. So starting your day with gratitude is extremely important. You wake up, that's the first thing that you say from the bottom of your heart when you find yourself alive, healthy, your family is secure, everything, then you start your day with gratitude. Does this mean that we should not be ambitious? No, we should. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the strong believer more than the weak believer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to see you resourceful, successful in this life. Have enough money, not only for you, but for more. So these are not contradictory. We were told that these are contradictory, that dunya and akhirah, you need to choose one. That's not true. You have to work very hard to make as much money as possible, but for the different reason, so that you can do more fi sabilillah. That's the big difference between you and somebody else. Working hard as anybody else or harder, but not to accumulate wealth, not to buy stuff that you don't need, but to do more fi sabilillah. And keep always remember that the happiness that you get from giving, you cannot buy it with all the money in the world. The true happiness that you get from giving and sharing and helping people and making difference in the lives of people, you will find the true happiness that you cannot purchase it with all the money in the world. So all what our mindset should change. Secure decent life for yourself and your family, and then think about doing more fi sabilillah. Getting more so that doing more fi sabilillah. The rest, you should save it and invest it with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, the wise person, smart, man dana nafsahu wa amila lima ba'da al-maut. The one who conquered himself. It's not like you do anything that you like and you buy everything you like. No, you restrain yourself. And then you invest and prepare for life after death. The wise person is the one who restrains himself and work. عمل لما بعد الموت. والعاجز, loser. من أتبع نفسه هواها. He does what he likes. He buys what he likes. وتمنى على الله أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. So, and remember that this is not just something good to do. Quran warns those who accumulate wealth and they don't spend it في سبيل الله. والذين يكنزون الذهب والفضة ولا ينفقونها في سبيل الله فبشرهم بعذاب أليم يوم يحمى عليها في نار جهنم فتكوى بها جباههم وجنوبهم وظهورهم هذا ما كنزتم لأنفسكم فذوقوا ما كنتم تكنزون. It's a very strong verses in Surah Tawbah about those who keep greedy, make money and accumulate wealth and they don't spend it fi sabilillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warned them with the severe punishment, that on the day of judgment they will be punished by the same things they were accumulating for themselves and did not share it with people around them and did not spend it fi sabilillah. Dear respected brother and sister in Islam, last time we started something by saying that all the happiness and the success that you're looking for has only one destination, which is Ridwanullah. And I'd like all of us to be used to this terminology, Ridwanullah, because translating it to pleasure of Allah is not really appropriate. Ridwanullah. Ridwanullah means getting Allah to be pleased with you. That's the biggest prize for a believer. Quran tells us that even on the day of judgment, on top of everything else, they get, believers, the biggest thing they get is وَرِضْوَانٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ. After describing that they're going to be in heaven, جَنَّاتٍ تَجْرِي مِن تَحْتِهَا, and then وَرِضْوَانٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ, that's the biggest prize. That not even what they got in heaven, it's the fact that Allah is pleased with them. So all the happiness and the success that you're working for is not by making more money or buying more stuff. It's in getting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be pleased with you. We have said that this is linked, and that link is missing, unfortunately. You want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be pleased with you, it's not puzzle, it's not a mystery, it's not a guesswork. Linked to that is ma'rifat wa infad muradillah. And this is another word that I want all of us to be used to it. Muradillah means the purpose of Allah. So Ridwanullah, Allah is pleased with you. Muradillah is the purpose of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these two are strongly connected. That's the link that many Muslims are missing. Allah will be pleased with you when you understand and fulfill His purpose. Ridwanullah is linked to Muradillah. Ma'rifat wa infad Muradillah. That you do your best to understand what is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects from you, what is it that Allah wants to happen on earth, in what way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in what form and shape wants to see you, and then you try to fulfill that purpose. That's the meaning of being abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is linked to getting to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In order to understand His purpose, we want to know Him. So knowing Allah, understanding and fulfilling His purpose, and then seeking Ridwanullah. This is, in a nutshell, you can summarize the heart of our religion. Knowing, getting to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and as I just mentioned, appreciate His favors and mercy and gifts and bounties. And then knowing, understanding, and fulfilling the purpose of Allah in the pursuit of Ridwanullah. These are the key words around which our religion is centered. And to help us doing that, especially appreciating the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we talked about al-khalq and the rizq. That the fact that Allah has created you, that's a big favor. Because life is so precious for us. And where life came from, it's from Allah. As I also mentioned, religion, if it is so precious to you, where did it come from? Who guided you? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these two by themselves, before anything else, the fact that you are alive, that you are created, and the fact that you are Muslim, just check how important these for you, how important life is, and then that tells you how grateful you should be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a gift from Allah, and it is being extended every day. How important deen for you, the fact that you are Muslim, that's also a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, you should also express your gratitude and thankfulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And everything that you are enjoying in life, everything, health, senses, limbs, family, security, etc., all gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِّعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ مَا أَصَابَكَ مِنْ حَسَنَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. I strongly recommend that whenever you had a feeling like this, to make sujood, shukr. Especially when something good happens to you. You hear a good news, just remember that it is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so rush to make sujood to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to acknowledge that you know that eventually this is coming from Allah. Whether it is a new job, whether it is a promotion, whether it is your child succeeded in something, whatever good news happens to you, get used in rushing to make sujood. And then even if there is no new news, nothing new happening, whenever you remember how much Allah has given you, also get used to make sujood to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِّعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ and مَا أَصَابَكَ مِنْ حَسَنَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. Why this connection that I mentioned? The more you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more you appreciate and remember His favors, the more you love Him. The more you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more motivated you're going to be to worship Him and to serve Him, to serve His cause. So that's where you get your energy, your fuel, your motivation. You get it from these two forces. The more you know Allah, the more you love Him. The more you remind yourself of His favors, the more you love Him. The more you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more motivation and energy and fuel you have to worship, to do better job in worshipping and in serving the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's where you get the driving force, the energy or the fuel. Then what remains is the direction. That's you get it with knowledge. The steering. Now you are motivated. You have a lot of energy, because we have seen some Muslims that can do a lot of destructive things with a good intention. Why? Because the steering, direction is missing. So knowledge is important. Knowledge is to direct, to channel that energy in a constructive way and in the proper way. The purpose of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your mission. And therefore you need to learn it. You need to learn the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it is your job to execute it. You need to learn about the purpose of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, muradillah, so that you can fulfill it. You need to learn about what are the expectations. In every context you find yourself, always ask, what is it that Allah expects me or wants me to do in this situation? And then do it. Another question that you may ask yourself, what is it that Prophet Muhammad would do if he was in my position? But that requires knowledge. To answer these questions, you need knowledge of Allah, you need knowledge of your mission and your deed, and you need knowledge of the Prophet ﷺ and his personality. Another practical recommendation that I made, and I keep making it, is to learn, memorize, master the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Asma'ullah al-Husna. They put them now in the form of nasheed. You can memorize them, you can listen to them while driving or commuting. In a short period of time, you find yourself memorizing all of them. Memorize, understand them, because they can do wonder in your heart and in that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see the names of Khalq, Al-Khaliq, Al-Bari, Al-Musawwir. You see the names of Rizq, Al-Razzaq, Al-Wahhab, the provider, the giver of gifts. The names of Rahmah, so many. Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Wadud, Al-Shakur, etc. And then the names of Maghfirah, Al-Ghafur, Al-Ghaffar, etc. So all of these can help strengthen your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The names of Rahmah and Rizq and Khalq can make you appreciate the bounties and be more grateful. The name of Maghfirah can tell you how much you need Allah, that His doors are always open for you to seek His forgiveness. And remember that anything that you seek is in the hands of Allah. من كان يريد العزة فإن العزة لله جميعا. You need honor and dignity, it's in the hands of Allah. And القوة لله جميعا. Power is in the hands. All the power is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even the fact that you are Muslim and remain Muslim is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا كَانَ لِنَفْسٍ أَن تُؤْمِنَ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. It is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He made you Muslim. So that's very practical way of strengthening our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everyone can have a plan on how I will learn, master, memorize the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I will remind myself, because they are very good reminders, very effective reminders of the different aspects of your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They can strengthen your gratitude, they can strengthen your need, they can strengthen your fear, they can strengthen your love, they will strengthen all of these aspects. Different categories of names will strengthen different aspects of your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember that everything you have is a gift from Allah, and everything you need is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything, it means everything. والذي أنشأكم وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة والله أخرجكم من بطون أمهاتكم لا تعلمون شيئا وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة. So everything, and then also everything you need is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, including your provision. وفي السماء رزقكم وما توعدون. Just gonna recite few verses inshallah that we recited them last time. They're so powerful to remind us how much Allah has given us, how grateful we should be, and maybe we should feel embarrassed or ashamed that we are falling short of expressing full gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَتُوبُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونتوب إليه. نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَمَّنْ هَذَا الَّذِي يَرْزُقُكُمْ إِنْ أَمْسَكَ رِزْقَهُ. Who can provide for you if he withholds his provision? وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ. In the sky is your sustenance. يا أيها الناس اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم هل من خالق غير الله يرزقكم من السماء والأرض. No one can يا أيها الناس اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم هل من خالق. Remember the bounties of Allah on you. Is anybody, anyone else other than Allah, any other creator is providing from you from heaven and earth. ما يفتح الله للناس من رحمة فلا ممسك لها وما يمسك فلا مرسل له من بعده. No one can withhold the blessings He opens up for people. No one can block something that Allah has prescribed for you. Nor can anyone but Him release whatever He withholds. قل من يرزقكم من السماوات والأرض قل الله. قل من يرزقكم. Say, who gives you sustenance from heavens and earth? Say, Allah does. الله الذي خلقكم ثم رزقكم ثم يميتكم ثم يحييكم. It is Allah who created you and provided for you. He will cause you to die and give you life again. أَمَّنْ يَبْدَأُ الْخَلْقَ ثُمَّ يُعِيدُهُ وَمَنْ يَرْزُقُكُم مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ. It's amazing. Just few selected verses that keep reminding us of things that we tend to forget. That everything is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, including your provision and rizq, and everything that is already happening in your life, it's already bounty. Anything that will happen, good, anything good that happens in your life, it's in the future, it's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make sure to express your gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in words, sincere words, all the time. Keep your tongue busy with this, and keep Find a way to remind yourself, and then in deeds, by elevating the quality of your worship, because now you're not worshiping just to get it out of the way, you're worshiping to express that gratitude. So it should be higher quality, and also by using what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you في سبيل الله. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا وتوفنا وانت راض عنا، واختم بالصالحات أعمالنا، واجعل خير أعمالنا خواتمها وخير أيامنا يوم نلقاك، ومتعنا اللهم بالنظر لوجهك الكريم. ربنا ارحم والدينا كما ربونا صغارا، وارحم موتانا وجميع موتى المسلمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. صلى الله